Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm really excited about this one. We are jumping straight into a genuinely fascinating text called The Space Face.
Yeah, it is a completely wild read, honestly.
It really is. So our mission today for you listening is to unpack the hidden architecture of human conflict. Like, why arguments never seem to truly end.
Right, and why our best attempts at traditional peacemaking just, usually fail miserably.
Exactly. And we're going to look at the radical, almost terrifying internal shift required to actually find peace. We're drawing entirely from this single source text to guide us today.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to break down.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the mechanics, I want you to picture something. You know that feeling when you're sitting around a table, maybe it's a tense family dinner or like a high-stakes meeting at work.
Oh, yeah, everyone knows that exact feeling.
Right. And someone makes a seemingly harmless comment, but suddenly the air just gets thick. You can physically feel the room tilt.
Yep, the temperature drops, everyone's jaw sets.
Exactly. And you realize, with this sinking feeling, that you are right back in the exact same argument you've been having for 5 years. It's like a script everyone was forced to memorize.
It is a universally recognized, deeply uncomfortable sensation. I mean, your body just completely shifts gears.
Yeah.
It's the feeling of a Cold War going hot right there over the appetizers or, across the conference table.
And the text argues that whether you are dealing with workplace drama, family tension, or just the absolute noise of the world right now, all of it runs on the exact same engine.
It really does. It's all the same machinery underneath.
But so to understand how to shut that engine off, we need to look at the exact moment a conflict sparks. Like what is actually happening in the room when an argument turns into one of those unresolvable stalemates.
Well, to understand that, the author asks us to look at the very moment suffering enters language. When someone says out loud, "I have been wronged," a strange arithmetic happens in the room.
Strange arithmetic. I like that. What do you mean?
They are claiming a very specific seat at the table. Now, the text makes this crucial distinction here. Suffering itself is not scarce. It is arguably the least scarce thing on the planet.
Right. Everybody suffers.
Exactly. But the entitlement bundled with the label of being the wronged one, the moral high ground, the right to not be questioned, that is extremely scarce.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the demand that everyone else tiptoe around your pain. There's exactly one seat at that table. So almost instantly, any argument that starts from a place of harm devolves into this desperate fight over who gets to sit in that single seat of absolute justification.
Wait, I'm struggling with that a bit, though.
Sure.
If someone actually steals from me or insults my family, acknowledging that I've been wronged isn't some sort of ego trip. I mean, it's just the truth of the situation.
Right, totally.
Are we saying that naming the harm is actually preventing the healing? That feels a bit backward.
No, naming the harm is necessary, but claiming the identity of the permanently wronged is where the trap snaps shut. It comes down to what the human nervous system learns to value.
The identity, okay.
Yeah, once a social system exists that rewards holding that wronged seat with attention, sympathy, and the permanent right to never be the one who has to apologize first.
The mind just grabs onto it.
Exactly. The mind learns to protect the wound instead of healing it, because healing would mean surrendering the one form of power that the wound is actually providing.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's a pure incentive structure.
Totally. The nervous system keeps doing whatever earned it safety and leverage in the past, even long after that safety has become a cage. So the fight isn't actually about whose account of the past is more true.
Because both accounts can be completely true, right?
Right, both can be true. The intractable fight is about who gets to stop defending themselves first. Nobody volunteers for that because everyone has quietly agreed that going first means losing.
Wow, that paints such a vivid picture. It sounds, honestly, like a dark game of musical chairs where the music never actually stops.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
Everyone is terrified to stand up because whoever is sitting gets the room's sympathy and the right to never apologize.
Exactly. And this dynamic scales flawlessly, by the way. The version of this that plays out across a dinner table runs on the exact same underlying architecture as the version that plays out across a geopolitical border.
Right, the scale changes, but the mechanics do not.
Exactly. And what's crucial to understand here is how the text frames cruelty within this game of musical chairs. Cruelty isn't a fixed trait belonging to a fixed enemy. It is a relay, passed hand to hand.
Like a baton.
Yeah. The hand that closes around another person's throat was, at some point, shaped by a grip closing around its own.
Yeah.
Every oppressor was oppressed by something first. A father, a fear, a systemic failure.
Which, and I want to be clear here, The text is careful to point out is absolutely not an excuse for the behavior.
Oh, right. Absolutely not. Excuses are designed to make harm smaller or brush away. This perspective doesn't do that at all. It just makes harm intelligible.
Intelligible, meaning we can actually understand how it works.
Exactly. And if a mechanism is intelligible, it can be interrupted. The author states that oppressor and oppressed are not two different species. They are two positions inside the same unfinished sentence.
That is such a powerful line. Two positions in the same sentence.
It really is. Almost everyone alive has occupied both positions, sometimes in the exact same week. You know, a middle manager gets berated by a vice president, absorbs that rigid, threatened energy.
And then walks out and micromanages their own team with the exact same cruelty.
Exactly. The relay is passed.
Okay, so if claiming this wrong seat traps us, and we are all just passing this relay of cruelty back and forth, why don't our modern logical attempts to talk it out actually work?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right, because we have more communication tools now than ever before. We have therapy language, we have de-escalation scripts, we have human resources protocols. But the text argues none of this touches the actual war.
It doesn't touch the war because of the operating system those tools are running on. The text introduces this concept of the ego mind.
The ego mind.
Yeah. The ego mind is built entirely, from floor to ceiling, out of comparison. Better and worse, right and wrong, safe and unsafe. When we try to use the ego mind to end a conflict, we are treating peace as a document to be drafted rather than a state to be entered.
Wow. A document to be drafted.
Yeah, you can master the entire theory of a ceasefire, you can sign the workplace mediation accord, and you can still be at war in your own chest 5 minutes later.
Because the part of you doing the signing was never the part of you doing the fighting.
Bingo! What's fascinating here is how the text explains that peace isn't negotiated by the ego mind.
It's almost like trying to cure a computer virus by opening up a new Word document and typing, "Please stop hacking me."
Yes, oh, that's a great analogy.
You're using the operating system's surface-level tools to fight a bug that has corrupted the actual hard drive. The words you type don't matter because the system itself is compromised. Words built for winning are just more division.
Exactly. The system is compromised by its own defensive architecture. The text exposes traditional de-escalation by pointing out a massive flaw in its design.
Which is?
Every de-escalation script assumes both people are willing to stop needing to be right at the exact same moment.
Oh, yeah, that never happened.
Never. In an actual room with an actual old wound sitting just under the skin, that assumption shatters. De-escalation attempted from the ego mind is just what the author calls the ops game, wearing softer shoes.
The ops game. That's such an interesting phrase.
The ops game being the tactical, operational tracking of threats. It still requires an opponent. It still requires tracking, timing, and calculating who moves first.
Right.
Structurally, it is still war.
It's just war conducted at a lower volume with better manners.
Right, so everyone can pat themselves on the back and say they tried.
And your physical body knows you are faking it. The text points out these physical tells that are so recognizable, like the jaw that sets before the other person's sentence even finishes forming.
Oh, yeah. Or the chest that goes shallow.
Exactly. Or the mental rehearsal of the comeback running underneath someone else's sentence instead of actually hearing them.
We have to look at the biological mechanism behind those tells. The body reveals the ego mind because the nervous system does not differentiate between a physical predator and a verbal threat to its identity.
Wait, really? It responds exactly the same way.
Yes. When someone challenges your narrative of being right, your amygdala fires exactly as it would if a tiger walked into the room.
That is wild.
That bracing isn't paranoia. It's a mind and body functioning exactly as they evolved to, convinced that the only way to stay safe in an exchange is to win it.
So what does this all mean for us when we're in the middle of a fight? The text mentions that because of this, our words go completely frictionless. What does that actually mean?
It means the words land and slide right off. We've run logical discourse, the attempt to win peace through superior reasoning, through so many cycles of use that the body stops trusting language as a reliable carrier of truth.
Oh, because everyone has already had the airtight logical case delivered to them by an opponent.
Exactly. And everyone has watched it change absolutely nothing in their own body. Because the war is being run by something older than language and faster than argument.
Ending a war requires that someone, somewhere, stop trying to win.
Right. And no sentence yet constructed can make another person do that against their will.
Okay, so if our smartest, most articulate words are just more weapons, and the ego mind's operating system is entirely corrupted by the need to win, What is the alternative? I mean, the text suggests we have to bypass the ego mind entirely.
It does. It points us toward the heart mind.
The heart mind.
Yes, the heart mind is the only mind that was ever actually at peace. It runs underneath the daily war like an underground river beneath a battlefield.
Okay, I love that imagery.
Where the ego mind ranks wounds to decide who gets the seat of entitlement, the heart mind refuses to rank them. It simply recognizes a wound full stop and moves toward repair without waiting for a jury's verdict.
Let me pause you there. Because when I hear less more moves toward repair without waiting for a verdict, my modern sensibilities start flashing warning signs.
Sure, totally understandable.
Is the heart mind just a soft, boundaryless blur where nothing is anyone's fault and we just let people walk all over us?
Not at all. And the text is highly specific about this. When it has to, the heart mind becomes Kali.
Kali, like the goddess.
Yes, in Hindu mythology, Kali is the fierce goddess of time, creation, destruction, and power. In the context of human conflict, becoming Kali means taking the head clean off whatever illusion has been doing the damage.
Whoa, taking the head clean off.
Yeah, it is a fierce, absolute severing of harmful behavior. But the key is that Kali acts without cruelty. She is not cruelty. She is the end of cruelty's usefulness.
That is a huge distinction.
It is. She arrives, enforces the necessary boundary, does what she came to do, clears like a storm passing, and leaves. There is no lingering malice.
That makes the distinction between a boundary and a grudge so much clearer.
How so?
Well, the text says a boundary is a door that closes when it needs to,
Yeah.
like the Kali energy you just described, but remains capable of opening again when conditions are safe. A grudge, on the other hand, is a door welded shut by someone who wanted, more than they wanted, peace, to be remembered as the one who was right to close it.
Oh, that is exactly it. That welded door is the ego mind at work, keeping hostility warm for later deployment. Kali doesn't store hostility.
She just does what needs to be done.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, when we bypass the ego mind and access the heart mind, we redefine the entire concept of surrender.
Surrender.
Yes. The part of us that can reach the war underneath the war is the receptive function. The text refers to this as the woman within, which, to be clear, is stated as a function, not a gender.
Right, a psychological function.
Right. It is the part of human psychology built to let something in to receive rather than push something through by force.
I think surrender is another word we really need to wrestle with, though. Because to the modern listener, surrender sounds identical to submission.
Oh, 100%.
It sounds like giving up, waving the white flag, and just being a doormat.
The text directly addresses that fear because it is so incredibly prevalent. The receptive function has been punished for centuries, which is why we've exiled her and posted a heavily armed soldier at the gate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there is a mechanical difference between submission and surrender. Submission is forced from a place of threat. It is compliance under duress, and the body knows the difference.
It feels awful.
Exactly. True surrender, however, requires structural safety underneath it. It only grows out of ground that's already proven solid.
So you can't force it.
No. If you ask that receptive part of yourself to open before safety exists, she will do the only sane thing available. She will rearm. Surrender isn't defeat. It's what happens the instant a person stops needing the room to ratify their version of events and lets truth arrive instead of arguing it into being.
And the inability to surrender, the inability to receive, shows up in surprising ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The text connected to people who are constantly giving, which is such a wild twist.
It really is. It mentions the quiet cruelty tucked inside constant giving.
Yeah, when I read that, I pictured someone building a massive fortress out of care packages.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It looks incredibly generous from the outside, right?
Yeah.
You're giving time, giving resources, giving advice. But structurally, it guarantees total isolation because your hands are too full of the things you're handing out to ever be handed anything in return.
Exactly.
It sounds like this kind of constant offering is actually an elaborate defense mechanism to avoid the vulnerability of receiving.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. A one-way transmission, no matter how loving it looks, is not a relationship. It is a broadcast.
A broadcast. Wow.
And broadcasts don't make peace, they make an audience. Real listening, real understanding requires two nervous systems willing to be affected by each other. You have to be willing to be moved.
Okay, so if we realize we are broadcasting from a fortress and we know what true surrender and heart-mind actually look like, how do we practically apply this?
Right, the practical application.
Yeah, like how do we drop this ops game when we walk into the office tomorrow and sit down at the dinner table?
The ultimate invitation of the text is to literally drop the tactical read of every room. Stop scanning to see who is winning, who's owed what, who needs to be managed before they land the first hit.
Which is so hard to do.
It is. This ops game feels like protection, but it's actually a second occupation layered on top of the original hurt. It costs you your access to the heart mine.
The armor we wear.
Yes. The text calls it the cloak. It was an organic, necessary response to a real threat in the past. If you were hurt, your biology calcified that armor to ensure you survived.
But now it's stuck there.
Right. It has now become a second skin. It worked so well that taking it off now reads to the somatic nervous system as identical to danger, even in rooms that have been objectively safe for years.
Which brings us to the core concept, the title of the text, the space face.
Here we go.
When you drop that calcified armor, you reveal the space face. It's the face you wear when you are no longer performing defense or offense. There is absolutely no plan running behind your eyes.
Exactly. It's a structural willingness to be seen without a strategy.
And honestly, dropping that ops game and showing that face sounds like walking onto a medieval battlefield wearing nothing but your pajamas.
Oh, it really does.
It is genuinely terrifying because your entire nervous system is screaming at you that you need armor. You are undefended.
It is genuinely frightening the first time you try it. You keep waiting for the attack that the ops game trained you to expect. You brace for the opening you think someone is about to take advantage of.
Right.
But here is where it gets really interesting. The profound secret of the text is that the attack doesn't come.
Why not?
Because there's no ops game left to play against. It takes 2 players minimum to keep the dynamic alive. If you take your face out of the field, if you refuse to hit back but also refuse to cower, the entire match collapses for lack of an opponent. The friction just disappears.
But how do we get there? The text says peace must be relocated backward. It lists these steps: heart, self, soul, face, source, origin.
Right, a specific sequence.
If someone listening wants to achieve peace within, first, no wars throughout, how do they actually navigate that sequence to tolerate the initial terror of taking the mask off in front of someone else?
It's a process of internal relocation, basically moving jurisdiction away from the external world. First, you relocate peace to the heart.
Okay.
This means allowing truth to register before the ego mind has a chance to edit it into a defense. You just feel the reality of the moment. Then you move it to the self.
The self.
Yeah, the self needs a private, internal place to live that isn't dependent on anyone else's validation. Third is the soul, which the text frames as having a memory longer than one lifetime of grievance. It sees the bigger picture, recognizing the fleeting nature of this specific conflict.
So you're anchoring yourself deeper and deeper inward.
Exactly. And once anchored, you move to the face. This isn't the ops game face managing the room. It is a face that has nothing left to hide because it matches the truth you just anchored in your heart, self, and soul.
It's authentic.
Right. Finally, it moves to source and origin, which is the foundational ground of being where conflict doesn't even exist as a concept. When you walk through this sequence, you achieve what the text calls thought-somatic agreement.
Thought-somatic agreement, mind and body actually shaking hands.
Precisely. It's when the thinking mind and the physical body stop contradicting each other. When your mind stops performing a calm, logical discourse while your body stays rigidly braced for a blow, that alignment is thought-somatic agreement.
That makes so much sense.
It is the only peace treaty that has ever held because it's negotiated by the only 2 parties who actually have to live in the house afterward, your own mind and your own body. You don't tolerate the terror of vulnerability by hoping the other person will be kind. You tolerate it by realizing your safety is now generated internally.
So nobody arrives at this peace by winning the argument. There is no version where you get there first or logically prove you were right all along. You just arrive the moment you stop needing the validation.
Yes. And the profound relief of this framework is that the war ends on your side whether or not it ends on theirs.
Wow.
Because the war was never actually happening where you thought it was happening out there, in the air between you and your family member, or you and your boss. It was happening inside you, cell by cell, your thoughts fighting your body's survival instincts. You hold full unilateral jurisdiction over that internal space.
What an incredible journey this text has taken us on. To summarize everything we've explored for you listening, we started by looking at the absolute scarcity of the wronged seat and how claiming the moral high ground actually incentivizes us to protect our wounds rather than heal them.
Right, the musical chairs.
Exactly. We examined how our logical ego minds and carefully drafted de-escalation scripts fail us, acting like a corrupted operating system that is just playing the ops game in softer shoes.
War with better manners.
Yeah. Then we discovered the fierce, boundary-holding clarity of the heart mind of the Kali energy, recognizing that true receptive surrender can only happen when we create structural safety for ourselves.
Not a fortress of care packages.
Right. And it all culminates in the brave, terrifying vulnerability of revealing the space phase, achieving that thought-somatic agreement where your mind and body finally lay down their arms and refuse to play the game.
It is a total paradigm shift. It asks us to stop looking across the table for the resolution and start looking underneath our own armor.
As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, something that builds on the profound reality of this text.
Go for it.
The author states that the war ends on your side, regardless of whether it ends on theirs. Think about the sheer physics of that for a second. If dropping your armor ends the war within your own jurisdiction, regardless of what your opponent continues to do, what happens to all that massive pent-up energy you used to spend guarding the door?
Hmm.
What could you build in your life? What could you create with all the energy you save by simply refusing to play the ops game? Keep seeking the truth behind the surface. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.